When you became world champion, all the setbacks you had, and you still became world champions. This kind of proof helps me to get through the hard moments in my life. And I think what I learned a lot is that to win that competition, it's like kind of the reward, but all the hard work you put to get towards that goal, that's where you become the person you can be proud of, you know? When I think really negative about something, I try to look for the positive, because it's just your mind that's like doing these things, you know? So you have to change something inside of you to look at it in a positive way.
Hi, and welcome to Mermaid Mode. Today's guest is once again a big air kite surfer and a world champion, Zara Hoogenraad. She's well known not just for her powerful kitesurfing style, but also for being very transparent and open on her socials about her training, about the backstage of big air kitesurfing competition, and everything in between. And this conversation is really no exception. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Well, Zara, welcome to Mermaid Mode. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, very excited. You're one of my favorite girls in the water to watch in the competition, but also in your social media as well. I think the work you're doing is really, really helpful to a lot of people who are not only kite surfing, but we're also discuss doing sports in general.
Yeah, thank you. That's a big compliment.
Nice. I think I want to start just basically starting on your story, how you got started in kite surfing. And it's a story that you tell quite a lot. It's quite popular that you were like this party girl and you were just kind of, living your life like super free. And then something changed and you decided to become a professional athlete and join this super crazy sport of big air. Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about it, like in the shorter version, but maybe also focusing on what was the moment that kind of changed you? What was the pivotal moment for that?
Yeah, well, it started I've shared it a lot on my Instagram also, because I think it's a good example to show that when I was a teenager, I was just partying, like end of my teenage years, 18 to I think like 23. I didn't really have a goal in my life, and partying was what made me really happy. All the people around me were partying. I was living in this town in the Netherlands, and we were going to festivals every weekend, parties every weekend. Even during the week, we were partying, and then in between, we found like time to work and get our money. And at some point, my mom, we always went for holidays to Tarifa already since I was like 10 or 12 or something. And something in her changed. She was so done with the Netherlands. She wanted to move here. So it took her like a few years to find a place to live. And when she was staying here all the time, I was come visiting her. And when she finally bought her house, I was like, okay, I have to learn how to kite surf. I was always so fascinated. Like here, if you drive past the beach, you see like hundreds, thousands of kites. And it's not exaggerated. Like it's so many kites. So I was like, if my mom goes to live here, I need to try it, you know? And I immediately fell in love with the sport. I bought my own van, converted it into a camper van. And every summer I was driving to Tarifa just to learn to kite and to progress. Started working here in a bar. So even when I started to learn kite surfing, I was still partying all the time, because Tarifa is also really a party place. So I was just kiting during the day, partying during the night, seeing the sun come up and then go to bed in my van. And at some point because I was also studying real estate in between, don't ask me how I did all of that together. So I finished my studies in 2020 and I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So I decided my boyfriend, then it was just a friend of mine, Giel, wanted to go to Brazil to train because he just got his sponsorship with Core by then. And I decided to join him because I was like, yeah, what am I going to do? Like the party season in Tarifa is over. I was working as a kitesurf instructor also that season. So I saved some money. I was like, I'll just join you to Brazil. Let's go. And that's when I started to learn my first kite loops. And I think by then was 2020, end of 2020, there were no girls in the scene really that were doing kite loops. Like there were some pro kiters that were doing kite loops. I think like Pippa and Hannah were doing it a bit. Maybe Pippa was already doing laid backs. So by doing that and showing that on social media, I started to stand out. You know, people started to think like, who is that girl that's suddenly doing kite loops? I got my first sponsorship with Core in 2021, like in January. And then I was like, maybe this can be something. And then I just started to train. There started to be the Big Air Kite League started their first competitions also for women. So I've been in the Big Air competitions from the very beginning. And then I started to win competitions. And obviously there changed a lot because first it's only performance. So you're just like training and you're progressing. But at some point, the mental part also starts to go there because at some point people start to expect kind of things from you if you start to win competitions, or at least that I was filling in for myself. So I started to put a lot of pressure on myself and I couldn't handle that pressure. I lost a bit the enjoyment for kiting and I was like, okay, so it's not only performance, you know? So I started to think about the other things that were very important for me, like fear, my mindset, talking positive to myself. I even started to talk with a therapist and eventually a mental coach, but it started with a therapist because I was like really down sometimes. I could really talk super negative to myself. So it started with performance, then gym, then the mental part, and then I was still drinking a bit. I was like, this is not really helping me to feel so tired every morning. So I stopped drinking, started to focus on my nutrition. And I realized that I was very fascinated by what food can do for your body because I was always a bit insecure about my body and I was never having breakfast, for example. So I was always skipping breakfast because I wanted to look good. I wanted to look athletic. And I thought if I skip breakfast, I can eat a bit more the rest of the day. That was literally the reason. So my whole perspective from being an athlete slowly started to shift. So this is like the still a long version, but kind of the short version because it took years for me. And still, of course, I'm not there. Like I'm still learning. But I think the part of like being an athlete is so much more than just performance these days. And that's also what I start to share now on my social media because I felt like people at some point with all the things I learned along the way started to connect with that, you know?
And it's so interesting that you also that you say it's the 2020-21. It feels like it's been going on for way longer, or maybe those years have passed so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes really fast.
It really,
Just
yeah,
5 years.
exactly. Yeah, it's only 5 years.
Yeah.
It's whenever there's an example of, you know, that women had an opportunity to do something, like people mention what year it is, and you realize it's only been like, yeah, in kitesurfing, like 5 years ago. In some other disciplines, it's like 10, 15 years ago. It really feels like, wow, we've come so far in such a short time.
I think also because I came in the sport very late. Like I was 23 when I started kitesurfing. I was 30 when I became world champion. So it's literally like
Yeah.
7 years in between. And then most of the girls that are in the sport right now, they started kitesurfing when they were really young. So for them, it's like way more years. I think Giel and I both started very late.
Yeah. How does it make you feel actually? Like not even, I don't want to focus on your age or anything. I'm 39 actually as well. So like I can also feel a bit of a frustration that a lot of times I want to do something and I realize that my body's just not going to do it. Like, or I'm a little bit scared of hurting myself because I know it's going to take me such a much longer time to recover than it would take somebody who's like 20 years old or 15 years old.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you're a professional. So like,
Yeah.
how do you deal with that frustration and understanding of like, yeah, your body's aging basically. Yeah. But
Yeah, I think there's two things. The first thing is that when you start with progressing and everything, there is, at least for me, there was not so much, there was still fear because I was scared. But once you have had certain injuries as an athlete, you're gonna, I just talk from my own perspective. I'm taking a few steps back, you know, it's not worth it for me anymore to injure myself and to be out for 3 or 4 months because I love to work with my body. Like moving my body is literally my job. So when I'm injured and I cannot move my body for a specific amount of time, it really frustrates me physically, but also mentally. So I think that also limits my progression a bit because I'm scared to injure myself. And I can also see it, especially with other girls, that once they have had a bad injury, there is this kind of fear that's taking over, and it's hard to put that on the side. But you can train it, you can manage it, you know? And I think it's also in our sport, nobody really talks about that fear. So it looks like we are all of these fearless women that are just jumping and we don't care, but we do care, you know? I think with the guys, it's a little bit different. There's also fear, but they manage it for some kind of way differently than women. I don't know why. Maybe it's something with the hormones. Maybe it's something with the difference in the, I don't know what it is. And then, yeah, there's also the aging. So, yeah, I cannot be like before I could be 4 hours on the water, drinking in between and just go. And now it's like I'm really planning my sessions very well. Like, okay, after 1 hour, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm not focused anymore, I go out and then I go for a second session later. So a lot of things changed. Like I'm way more structured and I'm way more planning my sessions. And before, in the beginning, I was just going, not thinking about anything, and then see what happened.
Yeah. Do you miss that kind of, that lifestyle that you just, going out and then going kite surfing in the morning, maybe straight from the party, from the rave to the water?
Yeah, like I wouldn't say miss it, but it was like there were so little things to think about, you know? It was just like
Hmm.
kiting, and then I didn't think about anything and I just went. And now there's like a competition coming up. I want to learn new tricks, but I don't want to injure myself. There's a big part of social media. You're earning your money with moving your body and doing this. So there's also a financial aspect that you have to think about. And then you have to think about your future. Like, what are you going to do afterwards? Like, there's so many more things to think about. And I think when you're in your 20s, it's a bit more like, we will see whatever happens, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I also miss it sometimes, but I think it's actually like the benefit of you doing this in your 20s, and having this lifestyle and being through this is actually that you did have this experience, and now you actually get to focus on like your performance and growing as an athlete and also nourishing your body. And I think in a way it's kind of good to not to treat your body badly in your 20s, but that's what your 20s are for, right? So like experiment and kind of like batter
Yeah,
yourself up a little
exactly.
bit. Yeah, I think I can see some of the new generation where they're already like super healthy and it's beautiful. It's really nice. But I'm just thinking, are people gonna lapse at some point, because it feels like us millennials, we kind of like lapse into the health a bit more because we've had this like crazy cool party lifestyle. I used to party as well. I used to also party all night and then go kite surfing for like 10 hours a day or something. And that was beautiful. Um, how do you feel about this? Like, is that also your feeling that it's good that I got it out of my system basically in my 20s, so I don't feel like I'm super tempted to like not slide off, but
Yeah, I think these kind of things, it really happens like in what kind of environment you are in, the people you surround yourself with. So the thing that with the kids that are like end of teenagers getting into their 20s now, they are already in the sport for so long and they're also surrounded by people who literally want the best for themselves. So they get inspired by that. So I don't
yeah.
think you can really blame them. And still, like behind the scenes, some of them still go partying. Like after competitions, there's always parties, and I'm sure they still enjoy, maybe not like as crazy as we did. And I think every person has their own way of like how to live their life. And for me, I'm happy that all of that happened before because it turned me into the person I am today. And it's like a very big contrast. And it's also a story I can use to tell to other people, like, look where I come from and look
Mm.
what I achieved in my life. So if you put in the work, you can also do it, you know, maybe in another area in your life, but it shows that it's not impossible to come from a place like that and to end up in another place. But you as a person have to put in the work.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think it also taught you some skills that you can transfer into like your
100%.
work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot. Yeah.
like at least communication skills, I guess, and yeah, like finding new connections in the industry. That could be one, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and also I think my study, like by then I remember that I was always like, oh, I hate this study and it's so boring. And at some point I finished it and I was so happy that I was done with it. And then somebody told me like, just write down, it was a few years after I finished my study, write down 5 things of your study that you are grateful for from being able to do that right now in your life. And I wrote down those 5 things. I don't remember exactly because it was a few years ago. I still have a list somewhere on my computer. And I started to look at it so differently, like, wow, actually I learned these skills because I did the study and I should be super grateful for that. Like it's I thought it was something really special, and I still try to do that in other aspects of my life right now. Like when I think really negative about something, I try to look for the positive, because it's just your mind that's like doing these things, you know? So you have to change something inside of you to look at it in a positive way. It's also something that my therapist by then told me a lot, because I was always talking really, really bad to myself and then putting myself down a lot and like getting almost depressed, so negative I could speak to myself. So I really had to change something, and it took a lot of work, and I can still do it, but it changed a lot by talking to someone and changing that way of thinking about myself.
It's the negative speak is also something I think is very typical to women. Like, as you mentioned as well, like one part is getting rid of, like, not having that fear, like pulling the trick. Maybe there's something that could be in there, but also talking negatively to yourself and talking yourself out of some things as well, I think. And it's also because like there's an expression that, you know, I would love to have an audacity of a mediocre white man, you know, when sometimes you feel, you know, where do these guys like have their audacity of thinking that they're the coolest thing out there, you know? And why don't we feel like this? Like, why don't we by default just think we're really cool because we are really cool? But like, what is this on the back of our mind that tells us like, nah, you can't do
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
don't stick out.
Yeah, I think with the guys, it's also like they can have a lot of ego, but in a sport like this, it's really good to have a lot of ego, because if you tell yourself all the time, like, "Pff, for sure I can do that," at some point you start to believe, you know, and if you're all the time telling, no, I can never do that, like, who are you gonna believe? The thing you tell yourself the most, that's what eventually you're gonna believe. So sometimes you also have to fake it till you make it a bit, you know, that's also what my therapist said. Like, if you all the time tell yourself like, no, I can't do that, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, I can never become world champion, what am I thinking? Like, who the fuck do I think that I am able to do that? Of course you start to believe, but every morning you wake up, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself you can do it. At some point you start to believe it.
Yeah, and it's I think it's Rihanna also said that, you know. Somebody asked her, it's like like what if you feel down or something? She's like, I just fake it.
Yeah.
But I think it's also something that I was talking to Natalie, and that's also something she touched on. And she also has this like a gratitude journal, or like a journal where she also writes out some things every day, or reflects on her day and how she appeared to other people, how she thinks people, like if she appeared in a good light in front of other people, and how she can be better the next day. And you also covered quite a lot on your YouTube channel, on your Instagram, I think, with the journals that you have. So do
Yeah.
you mind sharing some of the methods that you use? Like what type of
No,
journals
of
do you do?
course not. So it started a couple of years ago. I ordered online. I get a lot of questions about this journal because it was called Mind Journal. I don't think they sell it now anymore, but it was like you started and every morning you were writing down 3 things you were grateful for. What would be your happy hour for that day? So 1 hour that made you really happy. Like, what would you do that day? Uh, you will tick off boxes like how you're feeling, like whether it was happy or like scared or depressed or like sad, and then you have like I think 20 or 30 different things you can tick, and you can also write if it's something different. And then with every day you had a specific exercise. So for example, there was an exercise that you have to write down all your strengths and your weaknesses, which I think is a really good one because people always focus on, no, I cannot do this or this makes me weak. But it's so much more important to actually know your strengths.
Yeah.
There was, for example, exercise where you fill in all the people that are in your life right now, but like your close circle, the circle that's little bit bigger, and the outside circle, and then you realize, okay, these people I want to keep with me, and these other people, they don't add so much eventually to my life. And I think if I would look back at it right now, the people who are in the big circle, I don't even speak to them that much anymore. So this was the journal I start with, and it was also in English. So I think that's the reason why I start journaling in English. And at some point, like it came and go, like I was journaling, for example, a lot when I became world champion, because I was just writing down all my thoughts and like really reflecting on how I was feeling and thinking like, okay, I don't like this about myself. How are we going to change that? And now I just write like in a diary. That's also why I start thinking like maybe it's a nice concept to introduce the diary of a kitesurf girl, to have something different than what other people are used to. And it's like my way of really sharing my feelings and my thoughts with people, because these days people are so not telling what they are feeling, and everything's so AI and perfect, and life's not perfect. And it's my way of showing that we also have our struggles. So I still try to do the things that I'm grateful for, and I try to write down a thing to remember or a lesson of the day that this day told me. So that's how I journal now.
Mm. I really admire the fact that you're so open about your kind of like, I don't want to use the word failure, but I can't remember
No,
another
you
word,
can
but
use whatever you want.
yeah, like, or problems that you're going through, right? Or some of the hesitations that you also have, because you're right. Like, whenever a lot of things that we see about kitesurfing is on Instagram, right? Or on promotional videos on YouTube from brands. And obviously, everybody's doing really, really well in these videos, right? But we're all like, you girls are all humans, so you go through life exactly like we do. Sport is not 100% your life, right? You have the family, you have like other responsibilities. So it's really interesting to see how you incorporate the sport into your life, and how it also can be like how you have to balance basically all of these things.
Yeah, I think what's also, I just realized this right now. I think it's also like when I became professional, I was like one of the only girls in the sport. Like Natalie, Francesca, Lana, Mika, Pippa. No, well, Pippa was also there, but most of the girls, they came like really late joining the GKA. It was
Mm.
just me always training with the guys, always looking up to the guys, but also comparing myself to the guys. And there was nobody really to talk to. So I was a lot in my own head, and I was getting like really talking myself down a lot until I started to talk with that therapist. And I think by feeling very alone, and I was isolating myself a lot. And later, when I start to feel better, when I start to crawl kind of out of that negative bubble that I was in, I start to open up to people and even to other girls in the sport, like I think years later. And they were like, yeah, I can also feel like that. Like sometimes I feel like, and they were describing exactly how I was feeling. And I'm like, why is nobody ever talking about that? Like I felt so alone and so isolated. I was not even communicating anything with my boyfriend, because I was like, what will he think about me? We're
Wow,
living this
really?
perfect life. Yeah. And then I was just down, and he was asking me all the time, like, what's going on with you? I'm like, nothing, nothing. I'm fine. And then I
Oh,
just
wow.
start crying in the evening. And I think that now I'm so much more secure about myself. Like I'm feeling way stronger than then. So I feel like I'm also ready to share that. And I hope by sharing my story like that, that people can really feel that they are not alone, because I felt so alone by then. And by sharing my story in very different kind of ways, like now my YouTube is a way of sharing my story by that I can talk more. Instagram is just a small amount of 30-40 seconds that you can share something, and in YouTube I can just talk, or in podcasts like this I can just talk, and that's my way of sharing my story. And I hope that people people look at it and they listen to it, and that they can find their recognition kind of in it. Because now I'm not scared to share it, because I feel good and I know how to handle those things and those setbacks and those problems, because I found my way. And by sharing my tips and my tricks that I learned along the way, I hope I can also help other people so they don't have to feel like how I was feeling by then.
And hopefully it will help more girls to get into the competitive sport, because I feel like there's actually a lot of girls who are really, really good. Like also like on Instagram, on YouTube, you can actually see it, but they don't compete. And I think part of that is like a fear or a performance fear that's holding them back. But I actually also wanted to ask you, maybe it must be really hard when you have all of these feelings that you feel like you cannot share it even with your closest people. Like you said, you cannot share it with your boyfriend. That's really hard.
It's like, it wasn't like really in the beginning of our relationship. So I always wanted to look like from my best side,
Yeah.
And I never really learned how to communicate with someone that I really love, because I think from previous relationships, I was always going for these bad guys, and then the guys that were unreachable. And then finally I found someone that really liked me because of me, how I was as a person. And I think I didn't want to like ruin that by showing my bad sides, kind of. But now I know that he loves me in every kind of way, like my good sides and also my bad sides. But this was so much in the beginning that we had to go through certain phases in our relationship for me to realize that, and for me to fully open up to him. And it took me years to fully open up to him in our relationship, because I never had that before. I didn't know that side from myself. And this is also things I learned a lot by writing, by therapy. Like I share a lot, like the competitive kitesurfing side on my Instagram, because I think the relationship side is maybe a bit too personal to share. But my relationship taught me so much about myself, like lots of weaknesses and things and specific patterns from my past that I had no clue that I developed those patterns. I think a relationship for everyone in their life, you really will face your true self, it shows you things from yourself that you don't really know about yourself, because it's so much reflecting on your past and what you went through in your past that suddenly comes up when you have a relationship. And I didn't know that, because it was my first like real relationship that I was really connecting with someone. And then it's also both sharing the same passion, both being professionally. So everything gets like mixed together, your private life and your professional career gets like blended together. But I'm just happy that everything went the way it went, because it made me the person I am today. And now he made me a coffee.
Oh, yes. I have like one that's like slightly cold, getting colder. Do you think that also working on your relationship also help you to open up publicly, like on your socials, and start this conversation with your community? As you say,
so,
yeah. Tell me about it. You started working on your relationship and opening up to him, and you're like, okay, people are not gonna abandon me if I'm gonna talk about my feelings. Basically, is that the feeling?
Yeah, maybe. I think also like to talk about your feelings and to feel like heard, and to hear, especially now that I'm sharing specific things from my past and from things I went through, or even my fears. And then now I hear like other girls, they're sending me DMs that I inspire them so much, and that they never knew that I'm also that I can also be so scared. And I'm like, it motivates me to create more of this kind of things, because especially in our sport, the sport is so male dominated. And then the female side, there's not so many girls that put a lot of effort in their social media, and they're sharing like the reality, you know, like I follow now more girls in different niches in different sports that do that. And then I'm like, oh, that's really inspiring. Like I should also try to do something like that, give it my own little twist and use kite surfing as a hook, you know? So I get inspired by a lot of people on Instagram that I follow.
Mm.
So that's a bit how it went. And then also in the sport, I think it's just really nice for girls that I want to show them that they're not alone, you know. I'm also thinking about organizing a day now that I'm injured, but I don't really know how to shape it or if I do it in Tarifa or in the Netherlands. And there's also a bit of this fear, like, will there be enough girls to showing up or
Yeah.
but
But of course.
I want to put a bit more energy in my girl community because the sport first is so male dominated, and now I'm checking my insights from my YouTube channel, for example, and it's 90% men that are watching my videos. While I
Wow.
actually try to touch more the women's side by opening up. Like, of course, I love it that men are also watching it, but it's like I started also the concept, the diary of a kitesurf girl, because it's a bit more like feminine and not so male, like muscular, you know. So muscular, no, that's not the right word. It's like I wanted to do it more
Yeah.
into the female side. That's why I use like a diary and this kind of elements. But I just started, you know, so I can shape my YouTube like a lot still, because I have like, I think now like 1,800 followers. So it's like a very small channel. So I hope to shape it a bit into the female community, because eventually that's where I want to go a bit more.
I think it's so helpful that you're doing it. And also because you mentioned that not a lot of girls are doing this. I think Pippa started on her channel and it was really, really cool. But now like she has some other things to deal with. So understandably that's on hiatus. But that was really exciting to see actually somebody putting so much effort and also showing so much behind the scenes of what's going on. You know, like I can't go to most of the competitions to watch, but it's so cool for you to share like how things happen and how you're getting ready, you know.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But also just opening up and like showing your day to day. That's really interesting, I think. And also
Yeah.
it's really useful for you to experiment with different formats. And I think in general, it's also benefiting the sport. So like maybe you're going to become an influencer on your own standing without specifically being like focused on kitesurfing, but kitesurfing is something you do and obviously you're professional. But you know, people who are not kitesurfing can also be inspired by that on YouTube. But
Yeah.
90% guys, that's
Yeah,
wild.
it's crazy, yeah. I think also I'm not sure why not so many women are doing it, because first of all, it's a lot of time and energy that goes
Yeah.
into creating on the side, but then on the no windy days we have time for it, you know. And I feel like also with everything happening with my old sponsor that just dropped me, if I didn't build this social media channel that I have today, I don't think I would be at the point where I am today, because the only thing I could offer then was my performance, and that was eventually not enough to keep me as a team rider. I
Mm.
could have probably gone to other brands that would pay me something, but for me, I just wanted to ride the best of the best. So I really think that performance these days is not enough anymore, unfortunately.
That's such a good point, because one of the questions that I thought of asking you, I mean, like a core kind of like dropping you was such a huge shock to the entire industry. And it's like one of the biggest stories this year, really, both you and Heel, I guess. Like it also shows because you're one of the most hardworking girls in the industry in terms of like producing content for the brand, like speaking the brand at all of the possible moments, you know, like during the competition, behind the scenes, like all of that. And you're putting so much work and effort, and then you don't see it being like paid off. How do you
Yeah.
deal with these frustrations? Because that's also similar to the frustration of your body giving out, even though you're treating it so well with your nutrition and working and whatever. Like both of these frustrations are similar, right?
Yeah, I think in the beginning I took it like some kind of way. I tried to not take it personal, but there was something that I still took it a bit personal, especially because you try to represent the brand in the best possible way and you try to put so much effort. And I know they had their reasons. It was due to budget cuts, and I'm sure that if they had the budget, they would still keep me. Like, they have been by my side for 5 years, and they always have been supporting me for 5 years long. So it was, I saw myself growing old with the brand, let's say, like, I didn't see it coming at all. And I think my team manager by then also didn't see it coming at all. So it was like kind of a big shock, not only for the industry, but also for the people inside the company. And yeah, I could be super angry about it, sad about it, but that's not going to really bring me any further in life. It's just emotions that I needed some time to process and to control. And yeah, so many people said the same thing, like, one door closes, so many more open. And I also believe that. So yeah, I just moved on, and I tried to stay true to myself in every area in the journey that came. So yeah, it is what it is eventually. I'm sure they also would have loved to see it a different way. It's not that they wanted to hurt me or they wanted to put me to do me any harm. Like, that's not how they are.
Yeah, it's like similar to somebody losing their like job in the corporate, I guess, like being
Yeah, I think
made
so.
redundant. And you like, I've been through that a few times, and to me, it was always kind of thinking, it's like, okay, that's my opportunity to start somewhere new. Because sometimes, like, even though you like your job, but maybe you're not growing and you're not progressing, you're thinking it's like, okay, that's the new journey and the start of a new me. And I guess for
Yeah.
you, it's like a really good opportunity, as you say, you have some time to actually focus on something else in your career, like producing content and different type of content, right?
Yeah, I think what's like for me, the past few months have been pretty hard because I had to swap suddenly kites to
Yeah.
a brand I've been riding for 5 years. And I didn't realize, or I didn't expect actually, that it would take me so long to get used to other kites. All the kites in the industry today are very fast, and the kites I've been riding, I think, are one of the slowest kites on the market, which for me worked really well. But it's a specific riding style I developed that is really hard to, like, if you ride this kite for 5 years and you ride another kite exactly the same as my core kite, it doesn't match. So I need to change so many little things in my riding style to be able to ride the fast kites in the same way as my core kites performed. So that already took me a very long time. And then testing different kites mentally just drove me a bit crazy because the conditions are different all the time. I'm like, I just have to pick the kite that I think feels best for me, which was the duotone Rebel. And I'm like, I'm just going to stick with that kite and then train with that kite. And then we had such strong wind in Tarifa. Like, I was all the time full power on my 7. So I was just dealing with this fear, not trusting the kite yet to do my tricks at like 20 meters high. Like, I have to slowly build it up step by step. Then going to Gran Canaria, like, I have had some good sessions on the 8 and the 9. So this size I feel like super comfortable with right now. Then going to Gran Canaria, dealing with this injury, and yeah, now I'm out of the water. So mentally, it has been going lots of ups and downs. And yeah, also creating content is a big part of my job. And I don't have so much content yet with the new kites because it took me a long time to adapt to them. And now this injury. So there's so many more things behind the scenes happening that are putting you like very much up or very much down than people realize.
Yeah, for sure. Do do you think of you testing all of these different kites that other girls are competing on gave you some sort of insight into their riding style or how they perform their tricks?
For me, the Harlem Peak was a really, really good kite. If I would go with the kite that I think I can progress with the most, I would probably have picked that kite. But I also needed to take in consideration, like, who am I as a person? What is the riding style that I want to show to people and that I developed for the past 5 years, which is height, extremity, and power. And I'm sure that at some point I could have that with the Harlem Peak, but I think because the kite's so fast, it was going to take me way longer to put my style, like from the core kite, and then develop that on the Harlem Peak. And I felt like with the duotone Rebel, I already kind of could feel that I was closer to keeping my style on that kite. And it's just a personal feeling. It doesn't say anything about the kite or a brand that it's good or bad. Like, it's just what works best for me and my riding style, you know?
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking maybe like if you're testing something like a peak and then you do something else like, oh yeah, that makes sense why Lana is doing this, for example, or Sarah is doing this.
Well,
Or if you're
I could think that like, this kite is way easier to do a kite loop board of, because for me, my kite pulls a lot, like the core kite pulls a lot. So when you take
yeah,
off the board too early, you just get like, you fly everywhere and the board flies everywhere. And like, I think with the Harlem Peak has less pull than a core kite. I think all the kites I tried have less pull than a core kite. So
mm,
for me, it's like easier to do, for example, a kite loop board of with that kite. But I think also you have to learn how to ride a kite, and every kite performs a little bit differently. And some kites you can take the board off earlier, some kites you have to do it later, some kites you have to loop early or late. Like, you just have to find what works best for you. And I think guys in specifically are very good in feeling that, and girls, they have to understand before they can adjust, you know?
yeah,
Or for
for
me,
sure.
I have it myself, but I can also see it with other girls. Like, if I explain, like, you have to do this and this because otherwise like what I see a lot with girls, when they're scared, they start to ride very, very, very slow because they're
Yeah,
scared. And then they jump and then they loop straight away from the takeoff. But the problem is, like, I always explain it like this, like, if you have the kite like this and you ride really slow, there's like the tension of the line is all the time the same. Well, if you ride like really, really fast, you steer the kite up, and then at some point, at the highest point, it goes like this, and then you loop. There's not so much tension, but you have to create the tension yourself with riding really fast and waiting until the highest point. So, and I think guys really feel that, and girls have to understand that. Like, if I explain it to them, they're like, okay, now I understand. And then 9 out of 10 times it goes better the next time, you know?
that's what I just did in my head. I was like, wow, that's a really good explanation. It makes so much sense. I gotta
Yeah,
try.
and I
Well, I'm
always
not
have this
gonna try.
elastic, so I can always explain it the same way
It's
as I
always in
do
the
right
hand, no?
now. Yeah.
I think you should do a clinic for the girls. I think like what you're saying as well, like girls definitely will show up. I mean, for sure, there's a lot of girls that are going to show up in Netherlands because that's your like home country, and there's so many girls as well that are riding really well. And I mean, Tarifa is just, there's just a lot of girls who kite surf and want to progress.
Yeah.
So I think it's such a good idea for you to do this. I mean,
I
I
was
would love to
thinking
show up for one of those, but
I was thinking, now that I'm injured, I was thinking to start like a girls' day with more talking a bit about the mindset, about our feelings, and more like a mental health kind of thing. Maybe like something including journaling.
yeah.
And then for like the coaching, I want to do like properly, you know. I was talking with Mustafa from the Wind Seekers. He organizes kitesurf trips in Egypt, on a boat, to maybe do a girls' trip next year, like somewhere in
Mm.
March or in April. And then after King of the Air, I also have some time to plan that. And then we can get like lots of bookings in the months up front. So that's something I'm thinking about to do next year, like a coaching boat trip.
I would definitely be up for that. That would be so much fun. I would love to have actually a girl teach me how to kite loop properly, because I think even I've done some coaching. I've done some coaching with my friends who are trying to explain it to me, but all of my friends who are really good, they're all guys. And it's just the way we explain things, the way that you've just explained it with the elastic as well. I feel it's the same as guys giving directions while driving, right? Like guys always say it's like turn after like 100 meters, then drive another 300 meters, and after 500 meters, probably turn right. Whereas we are more visual, where we say it's like, okay, can you see the Lidl on the side? Turn left at Lidl, then drive all the way up to another shop and turn there, you know? So because you're using these visual cues. And I think that was also a perfect example of like, imagine this, like, or, you know, visualization works so much better
Yeah.
for us to learn.
I think also the girls are just like, they just feel a lot of emotion, and they also want, I think as girls together, you want to feel heard, and you want to feel like talk about your emotions also when you're scared and you're trying a new trick. And for guys, it's more like you just go and you do it, you know? And then I think as a girl, to understand the other girl, you kind of connect in some certain way, and you feel more comfortable, and you feel more like the fear goes away a bit more, you know? So yeah, if I do like this coaching thing, I also thinking about including like different elements, maybe talk about like the fear side, for example, like maybe every day has like a different kind. I want to do it properly, you know? So every day has like a different kind of subject that we go through, like confidence. I think it's also comparing yourself to others, fear. So that's already like 3 elements I want to tackle. So I have to think about it, but it's something I want to. Mustafa will also be in Cape Town in December, so I think we can brainstorm a lot in December and then see what we will do for 2027.
Like a therapy and kite surfing. That basically is kind of. It sounds like a perfect girls' getaway, you know. Just include some.
Yeah, and I want to do like mobility with it and like stretching in the morning, like a full package. I think lots of people are doing coaching, and then it's so like performance and tricks, but there's so much more that goes into that. So yeah, I really want to do it proper, not just another coaching trip, like in my own kind of way. I want to do it. That's why I want to take my time to organize it.
Kind of like a love your body retreat, you know, like from all of the aspects and mental and physical.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's important. I think like lots of people don't realize how important it is to really love yourself, you know?
Would you consider doing something like this online, like an online workshop? Like that could be a good start and a test for you to see, like, to maybe unlock the correct format.
Yeah, it could be something. Like I've been thinking about different things that I want to do after I stop competing. Like I really like the social media part and to connect with my community. So this is something I really want to keep. But I've also realized that something that's really missing in the kite industry is like people don't know how to train off the water. So this is also something I'm diving into a bit, to maybe create more workouts for people and show them how you can build up your strength so you feel more confident on the water. But also like the mental game is something that's nobody really talks about, and that's also like nobody really offers that, you know? So it's different things and different elements, and I don't know if I want to connect them all together, but I'm trying out a lot on my social media now, and I try to see like, okay, this gets more views, this gets more likes, so I can see what people like. Sometimes also a bit annoying. I think that's also why not so many people in the industry are maybe doing social media, because it can affect you a lot. Like, of course, everybody wants to feel seen and wants to feel loved. So when something gets a lot of likes or you suddenly get a lot of followers, it's like, can be a bit of an addictive feeling. And I think lots of people would never admit that, but I think for everybody, it works the same. And I'm really trying to not feel those emotions too much, but I can notice that sometimes it affects me a bit. So this is also a different part about social media, I think, that people don't really talk about, but maybe it's also a reason some people don't like social media so much, because if you post something and it gets 10,000 likes or it gets 5 likes, when it gets 10,000 likes, you feel over the moon and you feel like, oh, people like what I'm doing. And when it's 5 likes, it's like, why do people not like this? And what did I do wrong? You know, I think for every person, it would feel the same, and maybe some people it affects a bit more than others, but it makes you human, and it's also a bit of the danger of social media these days, I think.
It's so interesting that you say that like it affects you when you post this, because I think your community is quite like, it's quite good, right? Like they're quite responsive, and in general they like your content. But I did see, like, I see you experimenting with different formats, and I think one of the posts that you made, and the first post is you in the bikini, because
Yeah.
that's kind of like, and you made a point about it. It's like, okay, that actually caught your eye, right? A lot of times you have to also remember it's not you, and it's not your content, but it's an algorithm, right? um, One of the guys in the Discord channel for Portrait actually mentioned that, like, no matter who he likes and no matter who he follows, he's a guy, he likes kite surfing, and naturally Instagram just bombards him with girls kite surfing in bikinis, even though he's very interested in kind of like big air and more of like an athletic representation of the sport. Not to say girls in bikini are bad, they're having their fun time. I want to be there in the bikini with them. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting that the algorithm like sees, it's like, oh, you're a guy, you like the sport, what about some girls, you know?
I think with the girls in bikini is always a very sensitive subject, especially in our sport, because it can have, like, I have kind of two opinions about it, because sometimes I'm seeing girls posting something and it's like their ass is so visible, and I'm like, is this really to like generate more views or more likes and then using your body? And I think that's a bit of the wrong example for other girls. But then there's also my side that it's like I'm putting a lot of effort to like being strong and looking good, and then when I see like my glutes are growing or like I'm becoming stronger, I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah, I did that, you know. And then I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of showing my body. And then that's the other side that I'm like, why are girls not allowed to show how beautiful their ass looks or how beautiful their
Exactly.
body is? And why do people always need to have an opinion about that? So it's like two different sides, because I'm sure there are lots of girls who are using their body to generate more likes or more views. But I think there's also lots of girls that are really proud of their body and just want to show their body. But where do you find like the balance, you know?
Yeah.
But and at the end of the day, I'm like, everybody is different and everybody has their own way of navigating through life. So just leave everyone alone and let them do what they want to do, you know, instead of always having a strong opinion. There's also something I don't like so much about social media, like the negativity that people can just spread on the internet and not put their face behind it.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of times it's actually guys as well, which is very like annoying, but it's also quite upsetting to me to see that a lot of girls also comment under these girls' posts. And to me, just like what you wear, it doesn't mean that you're like a worse athlete for you wearing like little or more clothes. Like, you know, it's the athleticism, not what you're wearing,
Look
right?
at Paula, like she looks literally amazing. She has a beautiful body. She can do like I don't know how many different water sports, and there's so
Yeah.
many strong opinions about her. I'm like, whatever she wants to do, she's allowed to do that, you know. It's also people also are allowed to have their opinions, but I'm like, why do you need to be so negative? Like, I don't
You
like
know, they
it.
say that people who are like accomplished and happy in their life, they uplift others. And then, yeah, there's
Exactly.
people who just want to spend their time like putting people down. So, and I
Yeah,
love Paula. She's like, wow, she's probably racking in cash from those accounts. Why not? You know, she's young. She has a really great body. She works for it. You know, monetize it. Why not?
exactly.
It's the algorithm. But if we can touch a little bit on your social media work as well, because I mean, first of all, it takes such a long time, right, to edit everything. And I hope you're enjoying it right now, but like, how are you
I'm
feeling about
enjoying
it?
it a lot, but
Yeah.
there's this one thing that I have with CapCut that sometimes it's just gets stuck, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I lose all my enjoyment for it. Like I put so
Yeah.
much effort in my YouTube video and then the program gets stuck and I'm like, no, it was almost done. Like now my boyfriend, he's going to give me Final Cut of Da Vinci, I think, or Final Cut Pro, one of them. I don't remember which one, but apparently one of them is really good to edit. So I'm going to change programs. It's going to take a lot of more work to get used to a new program, but then eventually it's worth it because I think he couldn't see my frustration anymore. I'm like, my vlog was almost done.
But it's also really cool that you're sharing it with other people, like of how you edit and in general, how does it feel to you? Because I mean, like another perception of the athletes and the people who are in kitesurfing, not specifically even in the athletic respect, but like the reason why you're doing your job is because you want to be free and you don't want to have like 9 to 5 desk job, right? And now with social media, you have a desk job. So like how much time do you spend on it?
Yeah, like I think I think, especially now that I'm injured, I'm editing a lot. I think it's even more than a 9 to 5 job that people don't really realize. And I'm really trying to, like, when I wake up, I try to take like 1 hour not looking at my phone. Like, first I take a shower, I go walk the dog, and then I unlock like airplane mode. So then I get all my messages. But it's like, sometimes I'm super strict with it, and sometimes I wake up and I'm like, okay, let's check if I got a message from this and this person, you know. So I can be more strict with it. And also in the evening, like trying to like not touch my phone anymore in the evening. But the last few evenings I've been on my phone almost before I go to bed. And my boyfriend the same. So sometimes we have to mention it to each other. And we're both not perfect, you know, we're also still human. But yeah, it's like, it's, because your social media is like so connected with your private and your life, but also your job. So it goes like so much together, you know? And that's why sometimes I think it's hard to say like, okay, this is the boundary. And then from here you just, yeah, I don't know. It's difficult sometimes.
Mm. I have this as well, and like I also wake up and check Instagram or something like first thing in the day. I also had this rule that when I go to walk with my dog, it's my dog's time. And I mean, like I spend so little time with her, so it's like, you know, this hour that I walk with her should be hers and not like social media. But obviously sometimes it creeps in and then you put the headphones on and listen to podcasts and
Yeah, like when I
all.
walk dice, I try not to be on Instagram or any social media platform, but I don't know what happens in my brain. Like in the morning, I'm always most like creative and everything, and then I'm walking, and then I'm like, I have some ideas. Maybe this could be good for a reel, or maybe I can talk some more about this on my YouTube. Or I also film myself a lot in the morning when I vlog, like talking to the camera. But I try to keep like the social media part off in the morning. Try, not doesn't
Mhm.
always work, but I'm trying. And then sometimes I talk to like AI, like, okay, I have this and this and this idea. Can you brainstorm? And then I'm just talking, and then I play. So he speaks to me too, and then I'm throwing the stick. So it's like a good multitasking, walking the dog.
Yeah, maybe you should get the meta glasses, you know, then you don't even have to talk into it. You just talk into the glasses.
Yeah, could be an idea.
What AI do you use for brainstorming?
I used ChatGPT already since the beginning. Then I swapped to Claude.
Yay.
But I felt like ChatGPT knows me already for so long, for like 3 years, because it saves everything in the memory. And I think for the creative side, like the brainstorming, social media side, I like ChatGPT more. And I think for like emails or like more like the business side, let's say, I like Claude more. So I actually have both, which doesn't make any sense.
You can download all of the transcripts from ChatGPT and upload them to Claude.
Yeah, I did, but still, I was
Uh,
doing exactly the same thing with ChatGPT and with Claude because I tried to compare them, and then every time the idea from ChatGPT was way better than from Claude. So
oh
that's why
wow, interesting.
yeah, I tried like a few months, and like I think 90% I like ChatGPT more. But that's just for like brainstorming about social media ideas, inspiration and things. So
Yeah, of course.
I never checked like videos what creators would prefer or anything, but this is just my personal experience.
Yeah, it's whatever works for you. I'm only using Claude, but it's also because I use it at work quite a lot. So,
Yeah.
like, to me, it's just
I think you have
most
more options
obvious.
with Claude, and also like I tried also both for the thumbnails for YouTube, like ideas, and then to create things, and then also always the one from ChatGPT was better. So then ChatGPT creates like the image, which
Yeah.
nine out of 10 times looks like super shit. But then there's like this small little elements that I'm like, yeah, to put a diary there in the corner could be nice, and then because also if you put a picture into ChatGPT, then you just get like me, but with an AI face. It's
Yeah,
super, super stupid, but it's good to
yeah.
get the inspiration to locate my face in this center of the thumbnail, and then put a diary there, and then put this element there. So then I just copy the idea and I make it my own.
How do you how do you actually like how do you carve out the time for learning all of these, right? Because you need to for making videos, you probably want to learn some angles. Like also, I've noticed that the quality of your footage has increased quite a lot. So you must have invested in like better equipment to film yourself. Probably you also need equipment to edit. You need to like better microphones and all of these things. Like, how do you actually, well, how do you carve the time and how do you carve the budget for it? Like, how do you justify the investment?
So the biggest tip or like thing that I can say to people is by just do it, you know? Like I I learned everything by just trying, and I'm filming myself like for example, I just posted the video how I make money as a professional kite surfer. So I installed the camera and everything, and I was talking to the camera, and then I look at the footage, and then the microphone was not attached. So there was just one side of my laptop and one AirPod that the sound was in, and the light was really bad. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so I need to go somewhere else. I need to find a light that lights my face. I need to fix the camera. So of course you're gonna make mistakes along the way, but that's also how you learn. And then with the editing, like I've been using CapCut for since the very beginning, and then along the way that I was editing a lot, I found the sound effects and I found the transitions and stuff like that. So by doing it all the time, and by also looking at other videos from other people, I get inspired a lot. And I'm like I was watching some vlogs from people from girls from different niches, and I saw that they were filming a lot like the nature. So I started to do like one shot of the palm trees from 3 seconds, and one shot then like little elements. And I think you just learn by trying and doing and fitting the music. And I also like it, like I enjoy it, and then it comes naturally, you know.
Yeah. Do you go out and you feel it's like, oh, I need to collect all of this B-roll, and then you become this friend that takes pictures of all of their like food everywhere. It's like,
No,
okay, nobody eats.
I think it's not really like that. It's like obviously I walk my dog a lot, and then on
Yeah.
the dog walks, then sometimes I'm like, it's nice to make a video like this from Dice, or I make a video like with the ocean in the back, or stuff like that. But it's not that I go out myself for a walk and collect the b-roll. But I can imagine that people do that. Like I start to look at some things way differently now that I vlog. Like I work together with a lot of video and photographers, and then
Hmm.
I can imagine when they would say like, can you stop here so I can make a shot of this? Like I did the same with Gil in Mauritius. I'm like, babe, we have to stop here. It's such a nice view. And then I start filming the view, and I would never do that before. But it also shows you more of the beautiful things in life, because you take the time to look at it, and maybe you appreciate a bit more. So I like
And it's
it.
nice that he at least has the same understanding that you need to get to this footage and it would look really cool, because there's so many examples of like the partners being kind of like, oh, do I need to film you doing this or do I need to film you doing that? And at least both of you enjoying like filming and getting some footage. So that's also very rewarding, right?
Yeah, it's like he's super, super supportive in everything I do. Like he always has my back. And when he doesn't agree with something, he goes sit with me and he takes the time to explain, like, I don't like it when you do like this, or maybe you should do this a different way. So the way we communicate with each other, I think, makes it very easy to understand each other. And then there's also this part that he also creates content himself. And before he got professional kite surfer, he was very much into making pictures. So he
Mm-hmm.
really understands the creating part very well, I think.
Yeah, and the pictures he takes of you are also like a really, really nice quality. I think it's also part of why your Instagram works really well, right? Because the quality of the footage and the quality of the content that you put out is quite high. And it's always obviously nice to look at, yeah, nice quality images and not a grainy Instagram or a grainy iPhone footage.
Yeah. I think it's good to mix it a bit both, because if I only would post pictures that Giel would make, I think it's too polished. By
Mm,
also posting some things that I make a selfie, or like things that I create myself with my photo of my iPhone camera, I think the balance is good, because I also like to show like the unpolished version, let's say.
yeah, it comes across as more authentic. That's a good point and a good
Yeah,
balance.
but I think with
Yeah.
kite surfing, like, doesn't matter if it's videos or photos. Like it's nice to have like good quality, because if it's really bad quality, you don't really see first who is it, and second what the person is doing. So
Yeah. Like especially the shots of you performing tricks, right? Because you're so far away and because you need to get the kite and the body
yeah,
like in the frame. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and I mean, like, the angle can do a lot for kite videos. Like in Barcarès in the south of France, that we sometimes compete, you have these spots that you film from underneath on 0.5, and it looks literally twice as high. Or in
Yeah.
Brazil, when you film from underneath, like something can be like 8 meters high and it can look like literally 15 meters. So you can do a lot with the angle.
It's always the comparison of like, you know, when you're making a POV GoPro footage, it looks so crazy and intense. And then somebody takes a video of you on the iPhone from the side on the beach and you actually did 1 meter jump with the background.
Now my brain already goes like, oh, maybe this is nice to do something, like make a video with like underneath and then do like the same video from the side. So my brain is already coming up with new ideas for Instagram reel, but I have to be able to kite for that.
But write them down, write them down.
Yeah, I do it with all my ideas. But I think it's good because, like, also these videos from Barcarès, people use them a lot for their video entries.
Hmm.
And it's like flat water and it looks twice as high. So I don't know, like, I don't know how it gets judged, but for sure it looks like really good on the video. And then when you have to perform that trick in the big waves, it's way harder than on the flat water.
Yeah, but that's what I told you as well, that when I looked at your video for Cold Hawaii and entry today, like that angle makes it look so much more hardcore because obviously all of the tricks that you're performing are like intense, but when you're watching it from the side, and it depends which competition it is, sometimes it doesn't look that crazy. Even like a mega loop like that is super high, like the angle that they're using and the zoom they're using, you're like, just a kite loop, you know, doesn't look that
Yeah.
impressive. And then they turn it around and it's like, oh, okay, that looks that looks
Yeah.
intense.
Well, these tricks that I put in the Cold Hawaii video were also like in really good conditions. Like the wind was strong, I got good height. And the problem with competition, my last few competitions were all like in pretty light wind, or at least I was a bit
Hmm.
unlucky with the conditions that I had to perform in light wind. And then, in my opinion, just doesn't look as good, doesn't look so extreme. The kite loops faster and doesn't look so powerful. So, yeah, definitely the strong wind really helps with my style.
Mm. You must be looking forward to Cold Hawaii when you get in.
Yeah, well,
uh,
now I'm not looking so forward because I still don't feel ready. And also with my
yeah.
injury, like, there's also a reason I didn't want to compete in Mykonos, because I was just not used to the kites, and I felt like I probably have to be on a big kite because the wind can be strong there, but I know how it goes with the GKA competitions. Like if it's light, they still run it. And I never rode the 9 and I didn't loop the 9. So it was like, what am I going to do in Mykonos on an 8 if it's too light? And then when Mykonos, I didn't go, there was like 1 week of wind here and I only rode the 9 and now I love it. Now I would compete with it no matter what, but I needed that time to get used to the kite and to adjust to the kite to feel as comfortable as I feel with it right now. That just takes some time.
And some mental work from your side as well, right? Because I'm sure you really want to be competing.
It's also like if you prove to yourself, like now I did all my tricks with the 9 and I show to myself like, okay, this kite works, it loops fast, I can do my tricks with it. So I have proof for myself that I can perform with it. And for example, the 7 that I'm riding, I didn't do all my tricks with this kite yet because I only rode it in so strong conditions that I was too scared to do anything. So I don't have the proof to myself like, okay, this session I did all my tricks with it, so it's going to be fine, you know? Like I really need to collect all that proof. And then that for me, that works really well because then I can tell my brain like, yeah, but then you landed this and this trick. So now it won't be a problem because I proved to myself I can do it.
Do you think like getting over the fear of like doing certain tricks is different like while you're training and when you're in the competition?
What do you mean?
I think there was an example, I can't remember which competition it was, when you did the trick and you were on the heels board as well and you landed. It's the first.
It was when I became world champion. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
Like I would never, ever, ever have done that in a training session.
Yeah. What did
like,
it take for
no
you to?
way.
What did it take for you to get over that fear? Like, what was it in your head that you're like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's send it.
Giel said, you have to do a boogie double loop if you want to become world champion. Like Francesca landed a trick that was like I don't know, I think I needed a 9.5 or something if I wanted to win. And it was the last trick attempt in the final. So I had one chance to become world champion. So if I didn't do that trick, like I knew any other trick I did would not be enough. So it was like, okay, it's now or never, you know? And then I landed it and it was like everything that happened together, like having lots of problems with my gear, that competition. Like I broke a kite because I crashed on the rocks. I broke a board because I didn't tie the strap well enough. And like there were so many setbacks, let's say. So now this is what I mean with finding the proof. Like when I feel like I cannot do something, I'm like, yeah, but look, when you became world champion, all the setbacks you had and you still became world champion. So this kind of proof helps me to get through the hard moments in my life, you know? But you have to get out of your comfort zone, like massively, to collect that proof.
How do you approach that actually, like as well now? I mean, you must be looking forward to getting back to the competition and getting back to the same like mindset. Like how to put this question correctly. I know that in some of the videos you also show that you have these big goals for the year that you want to achieve, right? And like, how do you deal with the setback? Because one of the highest goals on your list is always like winning a certain competition, right? And also because there are these competitions now, there are like doing the women's competition for the first time. So obviously, naturally, you want to be there, right? As one of the most recognized faces in the competition. How do you deal with these setbacks when you realize it's like, okay, I'm not going to reach this goal? How do you regroup and how do you transfer that goal for the next year, for the next, like,
I know what you're trying to say. Like, I put a goal, and if I don't reach that goal, how I mentally put it into perspective, you mean, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, now one of my biggest goals is obviously still to win King of the Air. Like that right now is my biggest dream. And I don't know, like the past few months have been really hard for me. I've been also writing a lot in my diary that at some points I don't feel like I can win it at all. And at some points I'm like, okay, if I keep telling myself that, of course I'm not going to be able to win it. So it's really goes like this. And I think what I learned a lot is that to win that competition, it's like kind of the reward, but all the hard work you put to get towards that goal, that's where you become the person you can be proud of, you know? The competition is just a small part of reaching that goal, and it's like literally a few minutes in your whole life that you have to perform at your absolute best. And if you feel amazing that day, it's going to help you a bit better than when you feel really bad that day. And then there's also other competitors. You can have problems with your gear. You can have problems with the conditions. Like when it's really strong, I perform way better than when the wind is light. So there's so many factors that you have to take in consideration. Like if you do, for example, a marathon, maybe the worst you can have is that it starts raining or something, you know, from the weather, or it starts to be very windy. But when you have a kitesurf competition, there's so many more elements that can affect your performance. Like it can be choppy, it can be the like really good ways where you can perform better. The wind can be light, the wind can be strong, the wind can be gusty. There's so many more things, and it's not like that's things you can't control, but the things that you do control is like how you handle it, how you prepare for it. Like if you make sure that your body is fit, your mind is ready, you make sure you eat the right food, you take enough rest, you balance that, you sleep enough, this kind of things you can control. And if you do everything you can to reach that goal, and at the end of the day it doesn't work out or doesn't align, you can be super proud of yourself by giving everything you can, because that's eventually what's going to make you grow in life, and not that trophy. The trophy is just like the extra reward, and of course it brings up a lot of emotions, but it's not that if you don't have that trophy that everything was for nothing. Like you still did everything you could, you know.
And also you have the added advantage of sharing it with the world, and even sharing that journey up to the competition is already worth so much. And it's such a good content as well for other people. I think that's really cool. But concentrate on something that you can control is like, it's a very good suggestion for people in general. That's a really good trope to understand.
I think that's a really good thing for everyone, but specifically in kitesurfing, it's a sport that you are going to have so many elements in our sport that you can control. So, for example, I go to the beach and I'm like, okay, today I'm going to train this trick and I'm going to try it until I land it. And I arrive there and the whole beach is full of kites. So first of all, I don't have any place to jump because I will land into somebody else. Then there's like no kickers, for example. So I have to take off from the flat and the wind is not strong enough to get the height. And then my whole plan is ruined. Well, when you go to the gym and you're like, okay, I'm going to lift this and this amount of kilos today. Maybe the thing that's going to happen is that your body doesn't feel like it has enough power. So in kiting, you have so many elements you cannot control. And I think these years I really learned that, okay, just focus on what you can control. And what you can control is your thoughts, your mood, and how you prepare.
Yeah, 100%.
Otherwise you get disappointed so much. Like, and it's, I talk from experience, you know, I go to the beach, I'm like, I'm going to try this trick today. And then I'm get so disappointed, like, oh, and I wanted to learn this and why, and then, and then, and then. So it's just like by doing it and by getting through those annoying moments in your life, you learn how to control your thoughts in a good way.
Like, I get it. It's like I have the same on a way smaller scale, obviously, but I also have these like goals for a session where I'm just like, I really want to learn this. And then I end up either too many people or the conditions are really crappy. And then I haven't done anything in a session. I'm really upset, but then I'm trying to think it's like, okay, but today we trained like a longer hang time or something, you know, it's like, or we went through these conditions.
But it's exactly the same. Maybe for me, it's a trick with a kite loop, but doesn't change anything about the situation. If it's like a jump, or if it's a back roll, or if it's a doobie loop, double loop with 2 added rotations taking the board off, it's like that's just the trick, but it doesn't change anything about the situation, you know?
Is that what you're training and we're going to see this in competition?
No, I will never do that.
I'm looking forward. Well, maybe to tie it all off, would you mind sharing what are the goals for the nearest future for you? Like, what are the set goals you're really looking forward to achieving?
Well, now the biggest goal is to recover. So all my time and energy goes into that, and that has the biggest priority, to be back on the water as soon as possible. And then when that goal is reached, all my time and energy will go into getting ready for King of the Air, because it's still my biggest dream to win that competition. I got second place now 2 times in a row, and I feel like I need to step up my game to be able to win it this year. Just my body's not really working with me. Then I have obviously the goal to grow my social media. Specifically want to focus on growing my girl community a bit. Maybe organizing like a girls' day, and like what I told you about the girls' trip next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also thinking a lot about for the future, like maybe I want to create like more workouts or a workout program or something like this in combination with the mental thing. Like this, I'm still like navigating, because I'm still like very focused on the competitions for now. And when I take a step away from the competitions, then I think the other things will slowly find their way and come on my path. And also I learn a lot along the way from my followers. Like if I talk with them, I can see like what they are missing, or like something that's been asked that I got a lot of DMs about is the workouts, for example. So then it's something like I can think about, like, yeah, that's something people really are missing, because I get a lot of DMs about it.
I mean, I love your workouts. It's you're responsible for me starting to lift in general. Like I
Really? Oh,
wasn't
that's
lifting
so
before,
nice.
and I was really scared of going to the gym and just touching the equipment because I don't have any friends that lift so much. Now I actually do, but before I didn't. And I thought that it would be like so awkward if I try something. I also didn't even know how to do a squat properly. I was like feeling like people are going to judge me for my form or whatever. And then I think it was one of the first workouts that you posted, actually, of you doing just a combination of just like squats, like deadlifts or something like this. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this Instagram and I'm just going to do what she's doing. And it so happened that a guy I know was there and was like, would you mind checking my form and telling me if I'm doing something wrong? He's like, no, it looks all right. I was like, okay, well, let's try this. And now I just go twice a week. And
That's
I
so
really,
nice.
yeah, and I love it. And I really feel how different it is, like how it's affecting my edging specifically, like having stronger legs. It's such a huge difference. Like, wow,
I
thank
think
you.
also for girls, yeah, I'm really happy to hear this, because this is exactly what I love so much about creating, and then
Mm,
getting that feedback from people that motivates me even more to create. And I think what helps a lot also with the lifting is feeling stronger in your own body, feeling more comfortable in your own body, like knowing that you can lift a specific amount of kilos just gives you a specific confidence. And I think that also translates on the water, especially if you go to the gym and then suddenly you can handle more power, or you feel like you're jumping higher. It's like what I talked about before. It's like you have this proof, you're like, it's working. So it motivates you and you keep on doing it. And for me, it also helps a lot with like crashes. After Mega Loop last year, like in the first heat, I had a really, really bad crash. I think one of the worst crashes I've had. But it was like competition, like the highest, not the worst crash, but the highest crash I had was like going down without the kite from like 17 meters. So it was a big impact. And I still kept on competing and everything. And at the end of the day, I won. So I was super happy. But it took me 6 weeks to recover from that crash, because it was so much impact on my body from keeping on the adrenaline and keep on competing that day. And I just came back from a back injury. So I lost a lot of strength in 4
mm.
months. I think if I would have that crash, well, not now, but if I would have that crash a few months ago, it wouldn't have so much impact on me because I'm strong and I know which muscles to contract, and I would probably need it a few weeks, not 6 weeks to recover, but probably like 1 or 2 weeks, you know? So I think also for those kind of things, to prepare your body and give your body that strength. If you have a bad crash or if something happens, you are just more likely to recover faster.
I think it's such a fantastic message to send to girls who, a lot of girls might be afraid to start lifting, right? Because, I think the perception that is still out there that you're going to start getting super muscly and super bulky and not feminine if you start lifting, right? But
Yeah.
the importance of lifting, especially like over 30s, is also because it's affecting your bone density. It affects your muscle elasticity. When you have a crash, like you're less likely to break a bone or like to basically stretch a muscle, or as you say as well, like land so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic message to send.
Yeah, it's really nice. I think it really learns you how to contract your muscles. And also what I see a lot in kite surfing is specifically girls, that they move a lot with the kite. So when the kite starts pulling, they move with the kite. But what you have to do is you have to put all your body weight in the lines to keep like this tension. And for me, lifting, it changed a lot of my posture. So when I started to train my upper body, because for some kind of reason, people only think they need to train their lower body, but the upper body is as important as in kite surfing. Like it taught me a lot that when I put my shoulder blades together and I lean into my harness, that I create so much more tension and I can hold so much more power, and I can hold a bigger kite for way longer than when I move with the kite. I just have to move against the kite. So this kind of things, I think is nice to add that in the workout programs that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, 100%. That's incredibly helpful. And it's such a good visualization, like, except for when your harness is somewhere over here, but.
Yeah, but then you probably need a mystic harness.
And you're working on something with the Mystic in regards to that, right? Like I've heard you mention in the video that you're working. Is it the harness you're working on? You can't tell.
No, it's just a dream that I would love to create a harness with them. I actually have designed one myself. I just don't know if like people would buy it, if it would like be something that would work for them also, you know. So for them, it also has to generate sales and stuff like that. I can come like, look, I have this design, but if there's nothing in it for them, it needs to be a win-win for both. So
I still think that you should have namesake workout gear. I think that makes sense.
I like the design I made. It's like really, really sick. I think it would really sell, but yeah, I have to convince them for some kind of way.
That's really awesome. Well, I think we're like over time a little bit, so I'm pretty sure you have a lot of editing and a lot of work to do today. Thank you so much.
Well, today is actually my day off, so I'm not going to touch my editing program today because I've did so much for the past 2 weeks. And yesterday I was like recovering the whole day from this heavy treatment. So today I will try to take some time for myself. And on Monday we go back to work.
But so time today is actually even more valuable than during the week, I think. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today.
You're welcome. It was really nice. Like, it's also nice because I did for now only podcasts with guys. And I feel like to do a podcast with a girl, it's maybe even easier for me to really open up about what I'm feeling and about what's going on in my life. So hopefully we can reach some girls with this and help them to make sure that they don't feel alone in how they are feeling. That's a bit of my goal also with this podcast.
That's what I want to hear as well. And that's what I'm hoping to, because that's supposed to be an inspiration for women and girls. And yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for staying till the end of the episode. And I hope you enjoyed it and learned something new today. I sure have. Thank you so much for giving me your feedback and sending your comments and compliments in the private messages. I am absolutely over the moon to hear that you actually enjoy this podcast. It's a lot of work and I love making it. I love talking to all of the girls so far. I'm genuinely so excited to talk to every single one. So again, if you want to hear from somebody, please let me know. Comment under the videos and under social posts so the word spreads around with the algorithms and whatnot. And yeah, tell everybody else about this podcast. Thanks so much. See yous.